It has truly been an unforgettable year, and an unforgettable year deserves an unforgettable student speaker. Many of us, including your MCs for today, were wooing the opportunity to be selected as speakers for our class. We were excited to see the level of enthusiasm and the number of entries into the contest. And after the voting, we were delighted to find out that this honor went to Katrina Yavash. She worked for McKinsey's London office before coming to INSEAD, and though she started in Fontainebleau, she spent 2 periods in Singapore and won us over as well. She's a regular speaker at INSEAD stand-up comedy nights and was elected valedictorian as a result of her 60-second video, which compared experiencing INSEAD with baking a cake. Well, I am excited to find out the menu for today. So please join me in welcoming Katrina, our 20J INSEAD valedictorian, to the stage.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning. Friends, family, faculty, administration, alumni, and of course, wherever you are right now, congratulations to the unbreakable class of July 2020. My name is Katrina Yavash, and I'm delighted to have been given the opportunity to look back over the past 10 months and remind us all of some of the moments which sadly did not make it onto Instagram. First, a confession. When I arrived at INSEAD, I wasn't sure if I belonged here. In launch week, I sat in Amphi A, surrounded by students from 67 nationalities, speaking 65 languages, from Portuguese to Punjabi, from Mandarin to Malay. I wondered, with just one nationality on my name card and half the languages to my name as some of our classmates, what could I possibly contribute? Imposter syndrome is universal. Many of us can relate to the feeling of not belonging, but it is almost always unfounded. All of us belong here, and each of us has enriched the INSEAD community. I hope today that we can recognize how privileged we are to be here, but also acknowledge our achievements and celebrate our success. We didn't get here on our own, though. Let's take a moment to thank those that supported us, friends, family, and significant others. You not only made this year possible, you made it unforgettable. You were patient when plans changed at the last minute again, kind when we felt overwhelmed, and a voice of reason when our fear of missing out left us paralyzed with indecision. Thank you. Do not tolerate one another. We were given this advice on our first day on campus. Be brave, challenge each other, and ask the questions that make you feel uncomfortable. And we, 20J, rose to the challenge. There were tears shed in intense PLDP sessions, red faces from fierce classroom debates, and beads of sweat from exasperating simulations. We left these conversations exhausted, but renewed. The prejudices we came to INSEAD with about others and about ourselves were a distant memory. Thankfully, our OB classes were there to fill the gap and give us a whole new vocabulary. By the end of P1, we appeared to be speaking a common fourth language. Classmates were no longer vague or direct, obnoxious or polite. Instead, they were high or low context, and from collectivist or individualist cultures. By December, as Dash Day arrived, these differences became irrelevant. Piglets took classes with Pokemon, lions broke bread with leopards, and sparks flew between flamingos and fairies. It would have been easy for us to assume that our MBA experience had peaked at this point, but we were just getting started. With every surprise that the year threw at us, and there were many, we grew closer together. No one could have predicted the companionship that some of you would find in squash injuries, cycling injuries, climbing injuries, yes, there's a theme, horse riding injuries, or just bad luck. Accidents that took you to hospitals in faraway places, surrounded by people you never knew, cared so much about you. As time went on, we developed new skills. We became cinematography experts, finding ingenious camera angles to disguise IKEA bedsheets and princess pajamas when dialed into class. Some of us became wildlife enthusiasts, befriending wild boar in Fontainebleau Forest, manta rays in Indonesia, and that rarest of species, a Dean's Lister at a party. Our housemates became so much more than just that. They were focus groups for startup ideas, guinea pigs for our baking experiments, and backup alarm clocks for Swiss trains we couldn't afford to miss. We laughed and we cried together, making friendships in months that will last decades. There is an elephant in the room, of course. I couldn't talk about the resilience of the class of July 2020 without mentioning the C word. Cases. Our cohort spent thousands of hours supporting each other through our respective recruitment processes. We practiced things that our parents might have expected us to have learned a long time ago. Taking a moment before speaking, listening carefully, and of course, counting in threes. There were joyous celebrations, bitter disappointments, and with every success, a sad realization that we would have to say goodbye to yet another friend we had grown close to and wish them luck on their next adventure. As P5 draws to a close, it's cliche to say that we now have a sofa to sleep on no matter what corner of the world we should find ourselves in. But we do. And for our classmates heading to the Middle East, I would expect at least a spare room. For those of us heading to London, a bathtub is fine. Looking forward, I know that the class of July 2020 can change the world. I'm sure that we will be brave and take on problems that do not have simple solutions, the same way we tackled option pricing and dividend policy in CFP. I'm convinced that we will be generous and share the results of our success the same way we shared our cultures, languages, and stories in the National Weeks. And I'm confident that we will be kind and champion those that work with us with the same enthusiasm with which we cheered on our section mates on Master Strategist Day. Many of us came to INSEAD still trying to be the people we said we were in our admissions essays. I hope that now our field of vision is wider and our aspirations higher. I hope that we can surpass even our own expectations. And I hope that each of us will be inspired by the people we've met at INSEAD and use what we have learned to break down walls and build bridges, knowing that we are stronger for our differences. Congratulations, class of July 2020. I hope that we will go into the world truly a force for good. And if you are ever lost or not sure which path to take, know that you have 509 supporters that you can turn to. Be brave, be generous, and be kind. Thank you.